What is up, everybody? It's your boy Hunter Henry and my boy Sean Culkin, and this is the Flow Bros Podcast, episode 2, where we're just going to hang out. The flow is out today.
Flow is flowing.
It's flowing, and we're going to let it flow. We're just going to hang out. We're always excited to hang out with you guys, kick it, and today we're going to talk about kind of the season we're in, and that's Offseason. Yes, sir. Our favorite, honestly, just a great time of year. We start towards the end of off season. We start kind of itching to get back to obviously playing ball. I think we all do, but obviously we put such a grind on our bodies during the year that off season is a nice time of year to just let our bodies regenerate, get back to where we want to be.
Just get everything in line. You know, during the season, it just gets crazy, right? And towards the end, it's nice to have those couple months before you start going back for off-season workouts with OTAs, just to kind of get your life together.
Yeah, for sure. So today we're just talking about the process, a little bit of what off-season looks like. Basically, we end the season. So obviously you're grinding. This year, unfortunately, we were done earlier. Sean actually got to go a little bit farther. Obviously you're trying to get to the ultimate goal as a Super Bowl, getting a ring. And that takes you all the way to February, the first weekend of February.
February 7th.
Yeah.
Which that changes things so much for how you prepare for the following season, right? The difference between ending January 1st versus February 7th.
Think about it. It's a whole another month of taking a little more pounding on your body. You already played 16 games. You got to play at least 3 or 4 more. It's a grind. I've unfortunately never got to do it. I never got to go that far. I mean, you haven't either. So that's obviously that's the ultimate.
But we will
get there. That's
someday.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
But you go through this grind of the year, 16 games, those long weeks, a lot of strain on your body, and everybody in the NFL, I would say, walk out of the season a tad banged up.
For right? Sure. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize too, is a lot of the times the team that wins a Super Bowl isn't always the best team. It's the one that's the most healthy, or like, okay, 50% of the team's banged up, but they're still able to perform. It comes down to just who's healthy, honestly.
Yeah. I think the health side of things too sometimes can be luck, obviously, right? Like sure. Just kind of sometimes it's luck on your side. And, but there's also a component of getting ourselves in peak condition, peak strength, flexibility, mobility, all that kind of stuff to make sure to prevent those injuries. But sometimes injuries just happen, bro. That's part of our game that we play in. It's part of all sports, but football especially. It's just such a physical game that it's demanding. So you go through this long season, grinding, and then all of a sudden you play your last game and you wake up kind of the next day or two and you're like, wow, it's off season.
It's off season. So we would always joke my rookie year, and we just be, what are we eating tonight? And we're like, off season.
Yes, sir.
And that means we're eating pizza. We're getting some za ordered. Those first 2 weeks, I mean, for me especially, it's just you get away from the game. You can eat, not worried about your diet necessarily. Like, you have a long time, so you need to kind of like get your mind away from that grind that you've been doing for 16 weeks where you're constantly worried about what you're eating. Are you drinking? Yeah. Are you hydrated? You kind of just get to be a normal person, if you will. Definitely get to call family members and close friends, like kind of just get the things that are important to your life all checked. That for me lasts a couple of weeks. I might go on vacation or travel. I know, where'd you go this past year? You went with Parker?
Yeah, we went to Mexico this past year. It's pretty much the only place open right now. Right?
Yeah,
this
right.
Past off season, it was a weird off season just because of COVID and still trying to, obviously we're in the middle of the pandemic and we were still trying to get a vacation in, just us two. I mean, like we said, it's a long year. It's nice to take your wife or significant other or anybody like on a trip, because I mean they go through the grind of it too, right? They're in the middle of it,
no doubt.
And so it's the beginning of the off season is it's a little bit more relaxed. You kind of want to get away so that you can get back into it. I mean, you're going to get back into it. I mean, right. That's how we're programmed. So,
how long do you typically take off from workouts and even physical therapy? I'm talking.
Yeah.
So you don't do a thing. You wake up, you probably don't have an alarm.
Yeah.
Usually our alarm is pre 6 o'clock every day.
Yeah, it's hard.
So take us through those? How long you do that?
First couple of days, right? You're waking up when you woke up. Like you have a mental clock, right?
No, for
and
sure.
You're waking
for
up.
Sure.
at that time at those first couple of days. And finally you're like, all right, I get to sleep a little bit more. It's increased every year I've been in the league. My time off has kind of increased, right? And it's kind of a feel thing too. Obviously, when I was young, after my rookie year, I took time off because I listened to some vets. They're like, dude, it's a long off season, and it's a long time until you have to be ready to play again. You need to take a little time off, let your body just recover. Like, our bodies are, insane. They'll recover. They're going to recover themselves in a way too. Sometimes you need that extra help, but I would say for the first 2 to 3 weeks in off season, I'm not doing much at all. Maybe stretching,
bro lifts, bro out lifts, where you're doing arms, right? You're doing the lifts that you want to do. You're not squatting. At least I'm not. Like,
no.
You're getting the pump if you even lift at all.
For sure. Sometimes I don't even do that. I'll begin to maybe like do body weight stuff, right? Like some like fun workouts with Parker, my wife, like, like hopping in some stuff with her,
training.
Like a little hit training. That's like, because eventually, like, we're so structured, right? It's like weird to not have anything going,
right,
and to not be working out. You kind of get to a point where you're itching a little bit, because I just enjoy working out, because it's obviously stress reliever. It's, we feel good after. So take some time off and then finally jump into it. And that's low impact, right? Once I jump in, I'm just kind of doing your bro lifts, getting strong, right? Like trying to build that strength back up.
And also to what you said too, like and during a season, a lot of it comes to strengthening with physical therapy, and a lot of those things that require like certain exercises and function movements you can't necessarily do during the season. So you probably start doing that around week 3. You start seeing your physical therapist. So kind of tell us, like, what do you kind of do out here in Newport?
Yeah, so I've got a structure. I've got a good team around me that I feel like really get me going again. Yeah. Obviously, I've been through some injuries in my career, so it's that part of things is hard. But once I've kind of got a routine down, obviously I think mobility is the biggest thing. And that started when I started going to a physical therapy clinic, Modus, and my guy, Drew. Everybody should go check them out. They don't just work with athletes, they work with everybody, and they're insane. Great. He's really the reason why I've bounced back from my ACL so well, is just because of my guy Drew and all he's done, and the mobility, the staying proactive on top of things too. So even when I'm not hurt, I'm still kind of getting a PT session a weekend at least.
Injury prevention, right?
Injury prevention. Yep. So I start seeing him out here in Southern California, Orange County. I start seeing my guys, my chiropractor and my massage guys, Dr. Adams and Mark. And it just kind of gets my body going again, flush everything out, and then start working on mobility, start working from the ground up again. Cause it's go time, it's you got to go again the next year. Right. And I want to be better. So, it's always pushing to be the best. And that's where off season, because obviously it begins like very slow and just taking time to recover. And then it starts once you get into that process of like how you're going to continue to build to be your best the next year, is really fun, because you're able to push yourself in a way, and you have a team around you. It's just competitive again. It kind of gives you a structure that you kind of missed, at least.
And you're lifting with a bunch of guys from other teams, which is cool too. So I also did, when I blew my Achilles out, I did rehab with Modus as well. And the cool thing about that spot is it's on top of this apartment complex, and it's adjacent to Proactive Sports, which is on top of a rooftop. Great views, and the combination of the two every day. I mean, how many professional athletes do you think come in to this place? I mean, 15, 20, 30 a day, probably.
Yeah, there's a good amount, and it pushes you, and you kind of get to see that competition on the side of things too, and get to meet guys all around the league. For sure. I think that's the cool thing, because there's such a bond, right, of all the guys that play in the league. It's a special honor to be able to play and to meet other dudes, hang out with them, because then you get to go compete against them, and you talk to them, and the mutual respect, and everybody's trying to gain that next step together. And I think obviously that camaraderie, that just daily competition is good, because it pushes you in a new way, right? And especially in off season, you need that. I love that. I love the structure, and I love the competition, because it helps push me in my workouts, push me in everything that I do. So it's fun once you get to that point. and get going again. You're not really like we said, we're not really running.
Right.
You do a lot of low impact stuff.
Yeah, low impact. You're doing cardio. You're doing a Stairmaster.
Yeah.
Elliptical. You start to get on the treadmill, but you want to definitely heal, and then, like you said, go back to the base, and then build from the bottom up. This your stability and the alignment and all the corrective exercises that aren't really part. You might be able to squat 400, 500, 600 pounds, but if you don't have the small intrinsic muscles strong, then you're going to develop discrepancies between one side of your body or muscle group versus the other, and that's what leads to injuries. So the name of the game is just balance, right? Getting what we always say when we go to doc, even.
It's the new wave in a way, though. I feel like as the more we get older and the more pounding and injuries that we take on, it's not like there's the move of not having to lift like 500 or 600 pounds.
Right. That's college. That's college.
Yeah. It's I can get a lot of great work at a high intensity workout or a nice band workout where I'm activated. I'm kind of getting cardio based in a way while I work out, but I'm also still loading in a way that
and
still
explosive movements. Exactly. You're doing plyos. You're doing all the things where you're getting used to that load, time under tension, but then you're also being explosive as you near, when you have to approach off season with the team. So
being quick twitch. So then it works into obviously the progression of running, and we're working on speed, explosive, quick twitch, to running with ourselves. We're running routes, this is kind of, I think, also fun time of year because you're fine tuning what you had. Right. We're always fine tuning it, but then
you're mastering your craft.
You're mastering it, but you're adding something, right? You're trying to add something. You're seeing other guys, what they did, and maybe try to add something, like maybe a release. Maybe I need to work on my releases a little bit off the line. My second level release is my top of the routes. I need to get out of my brakes better. There's so many different things. So you're trying to add at least a couple things to your game that you already have, and then also fine tuning everything, so what is something for yourself that you would is big, fine tuning, or you want to add, or focus on?
Yeah. For me, it's top of the route. Yeah. I think you can always get better separation.
Yep.
That's the name of the game, right? I know in high school, if you look at high school to college to NFL, in high school, open is, the quarterback seeing 3-4 feet in separation. College is a little closer. NFL, there might be, a foot, a guy might be on you, and a quarterback like Phillip Rivers is going to be no, he's open. I'm going to thread the needle and get it in there. But you can always get better at the top and help your cue out. So for me, top of the route. And then blocking, obviously I want to master my craft. So there's so much handwork that I do, my steps. A lot of people think that we just kind of line up, getting a 3-point stance and just go block the dude ahead of us, right? But like we said last episode, we're 250. We're going against guys that are 280, 290. Your technique has to be perfect. Your step, if you take a 6-inch step, but you lose ground versus a 2-inch step, if you don't gain ground, there's so much that goes into having a successful block. And so I'm working on feet, I'm working on my stance, I'm working on explosiveness, and I'm working on my hands. Hand placement for me is everything. If I'm outside, you're done. So, the different, I'm always trying to work on grabbing a guy's wrist or his elbow, because if you get the forearm, there's not much leverage there. So, a lot goes into that. So those are the biggest things for me. And then obviously flexibility between yoga and just stretching in general, or just massage, deep tissue work. I'm always trying to stay loose and as Tom Brady says, pliable, right?
Pliability.
Shoot, he's in what year? Hey, man, he just did an extension, right? I mean, it must be working.
My man is 44, signing extensions, bro, for more years. Just an absolute legend and GOAT. My man just won the 7th championship. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's more than any franchise.
Wait, yeah, 7. He's won 7. He's been to the Super Bowl, just been in the bowl. I think
more than 50%.
More than 50% of his career.
I saw a tweet. It was if you were born in this year, it applied to us. You're used to seeing Tom Brady in a Super Bowl more often than not, which is crazy to think about, because we just talked about how we've never gone, and how many, but the majority of players can say they've never gone.
I'm 5 years, you're 4 years, and we've been to
none.
So at his rate, we should have already been to 2 or 3.
Yeah,
if that's how it was. Yeah. But going back to your point of blocking, I think it's cool to tell people there's so much more that goes into it than what people think, right? You just think you have to be, obviously it helps. We're always trying to get stronger and like, you know, like legs, base, strong, you know, upper body.
Because you have to have a certain
base. Strength for sure. And weight too, right? Weight, like having a little weight in there helps, right? If you're a little light, sometimes you get thrown around.
Weight in the lower half.
Also, there's so much that goes into it. Like you said, like their steps are so, you know, detailed. You need to be detailed. Your hands, leverage, right? Yeah. Like if the guy gets under you, it's over. And especially them being heavier or anything, like that's just what it is.
You can have a perfect block, everything technique perfect, and you still might at best get a stalemate if you're going against a dog.
Yeah, if you're going against, I mean, most guys in the NFL, we're not going to blow guys off the ball.
Right.
It's a position block in a way that you're trying to overpower him, right? To a position.
Right.
He's trying to own this C gap, and I got to win this C gap, right? Like he's got to outside contain, and I need to stretch him as much as I can. So this hole inside of me, like I know I'm probably not going to reach this guy at all, but if I threaten him, he has to honor that. Because if he does shoot inside and I grab his outside, we're getting the edge because he has outside contain.
But the difference, and I had a little of this in the SEC show, I'm sure you did too, but in this league, you got a couple of guys that know they have outside gap.
Oh yeah.
And you got to use that against them, but they are good enough to where they're going to jump inside and still make the play. So like, it's like, no, it depends. Like so much goes into the type of block how do I phrase this? You got to know who you're going against.
Yeah.
You got to know, because if you're going against Von Miller,
KYP, bro, know your personnel.
Yep.
Yeah. It's, I'll always remember. Yeah. I think there was two guys like Vaughn, my first year, it was an outside stretch play. Right. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to open up, you know, like kind of give him a hard sell. Like, and then I'll try to like, you know, strong inside hand, all this stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll get him. He hit me with like the outside, and just like there was no one blitzing outside. He just was like, I'm going to wreck this play just because he's smart and knows what he's doing. He's also kind of a freak and can like just make these plays. He shot inside me and tackled the back for TFL, and you're just like, that's not what like most people do.
Right.
But he does that. Also, TJ Watt hit it. I don't think it was me, but I watched him hit Virgil.
My man Verge.
Not Virgil. I'm sorry, Verge. He hit Verge with like it was outside zone too, and hit him with a spin move inside. I was like,
the spin.
I'm like, spin move inside on the outside zone.
Oh yeah,
and he made the play TFL because there's just guys that are beasts and they kind of know what they're doing, bro.
No doubt.
Big shout out to Vaughn and TJ, great players, and Verge, our guy. But man, those are details.
Yeah, those are details, man. A lot goes into the game. I know we're just flowing, right? A little off task, but we're good. Love that. So yeah, let's go back to off season. We talked about rehab. We talked about physical therapy and lifting and training, but like that's 2 hours of our day, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of time. Like you don't have to go to meetings no more. You don't have to like, there's not much that's on your plate. So like, what do you do with the rest of your time? For me, I started going back to school. So I'm doing my MBA in the off season. I spent a lot of time researching for that, as well as when I do with my stock portfolio. I dabbled in a little day trading. I kind of I stick away from that. I go more traditional. Obviously now though, with the new age of crypto, and we could talk about that later, but a lot of my time, that all being said, is reading, researching, investing, looking up real estate opportunities. I'm definitely trying to go get more exposure to that. Actually, me and my girlfriend just closed on a house this past week. But that kind of fills up your time. Like, what do you do with your time?
Like you said, he's in the MBA program. My first 5 years, I took at least 2 or 3 classes because I left school early. So I took through 2 or 3 classes to finish my business major and finished it up last year. I'm a 2020.
Congrats. By the way, guys, I got to like give my boy some props because there's a lot of people that leave early that should leave early. It makes sense. It made sense for him to leave early. And, they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to get it later. But you start seeing that check hit, right? Mm-hmm. And he's very successful. He's going in now, your technically 3rd contract. You don't have to go back. It'd be so easy for you to not do that. So big applause to you for going back and spending the time, because I know it's not fun. It's not fun.
No, it's not. It sucked. It was a grind. Yeah. I mean, not too bad. That's why I didn't overload myself. I would always do like at least like the max 3 classes, because I just was like, man, I don't want to overload myself with like 5 or 6, and I'm taking 15 to 18 hours all of a sudden, and it was just a grind. But I would slowly did it over the years. Finally did it last year.
What did you get your degree in?
I got a general business major. I started a finance major.
Yeah, you did.
And then I left school, and the only way that you could get a business major online was a general business major. So it's all good, man. I still learned a lot, and really thankful to the Walton Business School at Arkansas. Great school. Wow. But I did that. My other times, man, I like to learn as well with Sean, as Sean, probably not as in depth as him, but he has pushed me to, I got to give props to him, like read more. I think everything is like a big thing. Like reading is huge. Like learning.
It's so easy. It happened to me my first year in the league. You go 4 years. For me, I redshirted almost 5 of school, right? So then you get out, you make the league, and you get that break. Like especially after rookie year, like you need that break, and it's so easy to get caught in the trap of, oh, off season, cool. I'm going to work out, stretch for 2 or 3 hours a day, and then just watching Netflix and jack around all day and do nothing. And we are blessed to have a profession where we have close to 5 months off a year, and you can do so much for personal growth, your mental health. Just continue to learn. Learning should not stop after college. I think it only begins then, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, really. Yeah,
that's when you start to do the real world stuff. So I obviously try to encourage as many guys that I see in the league to utilize this time to your benefit, man. Like it's a rare opportunity to have this, and you can really separate and make huge life altering decisions now that can affect the rest of your life.
For sure. I think reading is huge. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can learn a lot. I don't overload it, but
what do you like reading? Give me a book right now that you like reading.
Right now, I'm actually reading Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, you are. Brandon Turner.
I'm trying.
Beardy Brandon.
Oh gosh, I'm getting a call right now. Actually.
Oh, is that? I'm seeing on your laptop. Is that? Hey, you got to take that.
Let me take this real quick. Actually, I got to take this call. So keep it going real quick.
I got this. I got this. So, this is actually what we're going to talk about. Next with off season is free agency, and as you guys may or may not know, this is a big week for Hunter. This is actually kind of hilarious. Hopefully we'll see how long this goes. I'll just keep this thing rolling, I guess. But free agency. So Hunter's got a call from an agent. Who knows where he's gonna go? But as we kind of talked about last week, you kind of with this industry just adapt, find a good fit. Talk to your family, talk to his wife, obviously Parker, make a good decision. And I'm excited for them, honestly. It's going to be really cool to see what happens in the coming days to weeks, maybe. It should happen maybe this week. But we could talk free agency for those that don't know. So how do you phrase this? So for me, I had to sign a futures deal with the Chiefs. So that is, for me, it really goes down to, do you have guaranteed money or not? So for me, when I was a rookie, I signed a 3-year deal with the Chargers. I was undrafted, but none of it was guaranteed. So after I did my first year, after I did my second year, sitting, come April, May, and June, you back? We're talking.
We're back.
We're talking free agency right now. We're talking about
free agency,
guaranteed money, and kind of how that works. So, in that situation, I'm sitting May.
Yeah, sorry.
Same. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, we're good.
We're gonna get that out of you.
Yeah,
We're gonna get that out of you.
No, we don't need to talk about nothing like that.
No,
we're talking about it now.
No,
we might as well get it out now.
How?
So what was it?
What was it?
That was my agent.
Okay.
Yeah, they can talk to teams now. So,
okay.
There's
no. We got it. We got to know more.
There's a few teams.
A few
teams. So we're
just gonna give us one?
No, I'm not gonna give anything out. No teams.
Come on, give the people what they want.
Sorry, no teams.
Where is Hunter Henry going? Come on.
No teams right now. We're not revealing anything. But
what about a conference? Can you give us a conference?
The NFL.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. I think I'm going to stay in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I'm going to stay. So, yeah, it was my agent. There's a lot of calls going on right now with my agents and talking to them. So
he pretty much said, hey, Monday through Friday, you better have your phone on.
Yeah, I got to keep my phone on me. Today, I don't even know if you cover this, but today starts the tampering period. Basically, this is my first time going through free agency, and then it's also a weird year with a down cap and just craziness, right?
Honestly, I talked about nothing. I kind of was just like, what the heck just happened? You just left. The podcast still rolling. So I started talking free agency and then kind of started talking about my situation, the differences.
This usually doesn't happen, but you kind of get the real raw right here.
Seriously. Hey, you're seeing it. We're flowing. We are flowing.
Or for sure.
How cool would that have been if that was a team being like, hey, this is it, your agent. And you'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And we announced it here. Maybe we will announce. Maybe next week. We could maybe announce next week.
Yeah, that's the thing. We might announce. So you might want to subscribe. You might want to listen, and you might want to stay tuned because I might want to nail it down. We might have to announce it on the.
Maybe we'll do it two episodes,
or at least if I don't announce it, because Adam Schefter is probably gonna get after it and announce it, steal my thunder, but. We'll at least walk you through the process and maybe talk more about that call.
So let's talk free agency. So I think it'd be nice. Like I'll continue on with like the bulk of the league being free agent or undrafted free agents, or I guess like the futures deals, and kind of talk about that and like how guaranteed money works. And then let's talk your situation when it comes to tags, franchise tags, multi-year deals. To kind of recap, I was kind of just saying it really comes down, I kind of view as guaranteed money. So when I signed a 3-year contract with the Chargers, it was undrafted. None of it was guaranteed. So after year 1, after year 2, in the offseason, I knew I was going to be with the Chargers. That's where I was going to be. But if I didn't play well in camp, they had nothing tied to me. They could release me, cut me at any point, and they would have no impact financially because I had nothing guaranteed. Now, fast forward, I just signed a month ago or ish a futures deal with the Chiefs, essentially the same thing. Because a lot of people ask me, well, what's a futures deal? It just means I'm with the Chiefs right now. I'm going to be there in camp and I have an opportunity to make the team. So it's like, it's the same. I'm used to it. This is what I'm used to. Obviously after next year, I'm looking forward to have a better situation, but there's different levels. So that's kind of the futures gig. And then you might have a multi-year deal, but then in some situations you might get tagged. So this is it's kind of confusing, but why don't you take it from here? What is a franchise tag?
Dude, this is all confusing. I have to describe this to my wife all the time, and it's just, oh man, it's that's a process in itself. So I'm going to try to describe it in this way. So in my situation, I am what is considered an unrestricted free agent. So, but you are still in control of the team that you played for until the new league year starts, which is basically when free agency starts. So the Chargers still own me in rights, really still while we're sitting here talking. They still have me as under their roster in a way until tomorrow, when the new league year starts in free agency. So a week before free agency, each team has a thing called a franchise tag and a transition tag. Basically, a franchise tag, which I played under last year, is I don't really understand exactly how they come together with the numbers.
There's a lot of nuance there, yeah.
I don't understand the numbers, like the cap hits and all that stuff, but I do know it's a 1-year deal. It's fully guaranteed when you sign it, which is always very nice.
Absolutely.
Like we were talking about guarantees.
What's guaranteed?
It's all guaranteed.
Wait, so if I play 4 games out of 16, I get 4/16 of the salary?
Guaranteed. I know it's a little
better than that.
It's a little foreign territory for my boy over here, but we're gonna get there, bro.
No doubt, no question.
It's always the grind. So yes, I played on the franchise tag. This year I had a chance to. They have a chance to still tag you. I think every year. They only get to tag 1 player though.
Okay.
Each team does. You don't have to use it. So I got it last year. The way that another team has to get you though, so like most people don't get, like you can get those franchise tag players. You have to give up 2 first-round picks to get, like, if some team wanted me last year, they would have to give up 2 first-round picks to come get me. So most teams never do that.
Team likes
right?
their picks. Shoot, I saw
100%.
Right now some teams aren't even wanting to give like a 3rd or 4th round pick for Ertz, which I mean, to me, from a person that doesn't really know, it's like obviously I take Ertz for a 3rd or 4th round pick, but just the way GMs view draft picks. Like those are huge. Those are the building blocks of making a good competitive team.
100%. So
to give up 2 first-round picks,
yeah,
probably not happening.
That's tough, bro. That's a building block and a foundation. I mean, in a franchise.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. So I played under that, and then actually this past week, if you play under it again, it's like your salary has to go up 20% or something like that too. So we were actually thinking that I might get it again.
And when you say get it again, you mean transition tag now?
No, franchise.
Still franchise.
Yeah. So okay. The debate was to get a franchise because there's a different stipulation for first transition. We can get into all that. Like I think
let's
transition tag,
I don't know.
I think it's not first rounders. It's like maybe like late round.
Gotcha.
Or something like that. Maybe. Not really sure on that one. I know franchise tag because I was a franchise taggee now, part of the club. So yeah, last week actually was the deadline. It's always a week before free agency or whatever, and the team has a chance to do it. And actually, the Chargers ended up not tagging me again, which is a good thing because, I mean, I would have been fine, but at the same time, it's always good to have a contract, multi-years,
beyond 1 year,
for security of your family. A lot of people. Think it's, that 1 year deal, it could be fine. You're back up at the market the next year.
Right.
But when you have a family, when you have all that kind of stuff, it's nice to at least know where you're going to be maybe for a few more years.
No doubt. And you want to hit the open market and have the effects of supply and demand. Like when you are unrestricted, that's when you can, in a way, get in a bidding war, right? So that's probably going to give you the most optimal long-term contract. You're trying to get as most guaranteed as possible. So like obviously, like you said, if you would have got tagged, obviously you love Southern California, you love the Chargers program, it would have been awesome. But there's also downsides to it. It's a 1 year deal. Now you're probably looking 2, 3, 4 year type of deal. So
it's a long-term thing. You could probably get more guaranteed money on like a longer deal in a way. Like instead of just that 1 year, you can get maybe double that in guarantees.
Right.
But it's a good thing, man. It'll all work out, man. It's also kind of obviously the team's got to want you,
right?
The teams that are out there, but at the same time too, like it kind of gives myself a choice. Like I'm able to like choose where I kind of want to be. So where am I going? I don't know what to tune in to see.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
No.
But it was my agent, and we're talking a lot. So,
well, I'm excited for you. I was telling the pod, we're excited to see, where you and Parker end up, and it's going to be a great week. I got good vibes sent your way, man.
I'll tell you this too, with free agency, man. It's you don't think about kind of the stress of it, right? Like it's a little bit stressful.
You were even saying before, you're like, sorry, man, I'm a little just off right now, and I mean, there's probably a lot going through your head.
There's a lot going through your head. Obviously, it's an exciting time. I'm not like just nervous, but like it's anxiousness maybe just to find everything out, right? It's been a build up to this, and I've also been in one area for 5 years, and it is what it is if we leave and go somewhere else. But
I mean, that's what I was going to say. It's changed, right? So, I mean, you've been here for so long. You've been in this apartment for now, over 4 years?
It's about time to get out of here,
bro. It's changed. Obviously, there's some nerves with that for anybody. I know that's kind of this part of the gig. I don't know. I forget if I said this last time, but for me, like when I found out I was going to the Ravens, like I was working out and I was telling teams I wasn't ready, and I was just still trying to get back. And then finally, when I was, okay, I'm healthy, I'm good to go, told my agent, within 10 hours, I was on a flight to Baltimore.
For sure.
And that's just where, and I was like technically going for a tryout. Like, am I going to go there for 48 hours or am I coming back? And the funny thing, actually, the viewer might like this, but it was 5 days because of COVID. So they have to bring you there 5 days beforehand. You have the COVID test and sit in a hotel for 4 days before the tryout just to like pass your test. Just to do a workout. Crazy, gosh, right?
This COVID year was crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I don't think the average fan realized this year. Obviously, they weren't at the games, but like usually the NFL is such a moving, like guys all over the place, right? Bouncing. Like there's a few guys always like bouncing, like tryouts or whatever. Guys are trying to make the squad. And like this year, you had to bring somebody. Like you went in, you
I
had
went
to
in.
bring someone
So
in.
for 4 days, I got picked up, did a COVID test, dropped off, and they said, "Here's $500 for Grubhub. Your workout will be Monday morning." I flew in, I think, on a Thursday, and I'm just chilling for 4 days in a hotel
And you
room.
also probably couldn't do much.
Couldn't
right?
do anything.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. So I'm just ordering food, just chilling out, just getting COVID tests. I mean, that's the other crazy thing. Like, how many times did you get a COVID test this year?
Every day.
Every day
For 6 months.
6 months.
6 or 7 months.
Every day you got a COVID test.
I showed up July, like end of July, my last COVID test. Unfortunately, I got COVID at like the last week and a half, so I didn't have to test then. But every day until the end of December.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, my offseason started off a little bumpy too because I go the whole year. I mean, we know the Ravens had an outbreak. I lasted through that, was fine. And then 3 days after the season, I got COVID.
Bro, I know a few dudes like that. I feel like you made it through the whole year. Bro.
Right.
We played all these,
whole year.
But we are like grinding.
Wear your mask.
Yeah, like, bro, we get COVID. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole story on its own. I don't know how I got COVID, and I just like all of a sudden like started feeling bad going into like the second to last game, and I was like kind of feeling bad, but not like that bad.
Right.
I was like, man. I mean, obviously I got to tell them, so I told them. I was like, hey man, I'm not really feeling good. And they're like, oh, no, you can't come in. I mean, I was like, dude, I'm not going to come in. Like, I'm not feeling great. And obviously, like, I did all tests, and I was like, I'm positive?
Right.
Like, this is crazy.
Right.
Like, I made it through this whole thing, and now I got COVID. It was tough.
Because you missed the game, right?
I missed 2, bro.
You missed 2 games.
Last 2 games.
2 games.
It was sucked.
Wow. Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that sucked for me. I got it like a Tuesday. We were playing that next Sunday. I like Tuesday was when I felt bad. And we were practicing this day because it was like Christmas week or something. So we were trying to take Christmas off.
Oh, yeah.
So we practiced on a Tuesday. I was like, hey, I don't feel good. I'm going to come in. I had a positive, but we thought it might be false.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that it was kind of weird. Like you felt weird, but then you kept testing negative.
Yeah, so I had the rapid one come back positive. And I was like, man. And then I had the 24-hour one come back negative. So I'm like, oh, maybe it was just like a quick false positive. Yeah. I'll be all right. But then I did it again, double positive. So we were like confirmed. I'm still not going in the building, obviously.
Right. You're
but
at home
I'm at
for all
home.
this,
And honestly, I was like kind of starting to feel symptoms.
Right.
And so like, yeah, it's been a tough year for everybody I know with COVID. And so I felt.
No, it's tough, man. Like I could.
You felt it too,
yeah,
right?
No,
like
it hit me actually pretty hard for the 2 or 3 days. I actually had it pretty bad. But I know some people that feel nothing. I know some people that, struggle very bad with it. So obviously it's been a terrible thing for
it's a weird disease,
world,
bro,
man.
The worst part
hopefully it's behind us, right?
Yeah, we're starting to move forward.
We're hopefully
we're moving forward.
We're moving forward.
But the worst part for me was like I was sitting there. I kind of had recovered and felt good, and I was just sitting there watching the games, feeling fine.
Right.
And I was like, this kind of stinks.
Right.
But it is what it is. It was part of what we were this year. Football was weird, but it was also like football was like fun, like still being able to have sports and still being able to play, like not playing in front of fans, but like still being able to play and do.
We made it work. If you look at, obviously, like you had the bubble of like the NBA, MLB had their own thing, but like with us, one thing about football is we got 53 guys plus P squad, and then everybody else in the building. Like there's a lot logistically. And to make this production go right, and
no doubt.
I'm curious to know. We're obviously going to learn more every day on how this offseason will go because now you got 90 guys. Are you going to test everybody? Are you going to bring them in? Is it going to be virtual? We've hinted that virtual's here to stay. Like that's one thing that happened from last year is we realized that there's some changes that are probably going to be permanent. Like we showed that not only can vets still come in without an offseason physically, but from just having a virtual offseason. We came in and performed, and you also saw rookies first time coming in, not being able to. I couldn't imagine doing that either.
It'd be tough.
But we made it work. So obviously, we'll see, right?
Yeah, and I think it was fun. Obviously, we had some legends play this year again, and 2 legends, that we want to talk about.
Have to.
One, unfortunately, he played on a different team this past year. Was Phil. Our guy, and then another guy we want to talk about is Gates. And both of these dudes obviously we're teammates for a long time, set all these records, right? And we were fortunate to be teammates, friends, just lots of good times. I mean, we were in the room every single day with Gates.
Yep.
We were, I'm 2 lockers down from Phil. So, and like you're right there next to Phil too.
Right there. Like that was for me as a rookie coming into and just being embraced by Gates and yourself too. Like those are the 2 guys in our room in the tight end room. But like for me to learn from Gates, which is argumentably is that even a word? Did I say that right? Who's probably a Hall of Famer.
Arguably Hall of Famer. Is that what you were meaning?
Yeah, arguably a Hall of Famer.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, it's been a tough week for me too.
Yeah.
Closing on the house.
Yeah, it's tough. Let's with Gates, obviously congrats to Gates on an incredible career. He retired last year, but still, man, he's always relevant in our eyes, and just like he was a big brother. I know to myself, and I know to Sean, and like just an awesome teammate, friend. But like my man was just a consummate, like just awesome all the time. Like, what's one thing that sticks out to you when we think about Gates?
Well, he wore the same clothes every day. And I don't say that in a disgusting way. He probably had 4, 5, 6 different sets of like, what was it? Louis
Vuitton jumpsuit.
No, yeah, there, yeah. It was the burgundy pants and the black shirt, or the all black on black. I know if you were a teammate with Gates, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That sticks out to me. And then that man was on the phone. He had the earpiece in. This is before iPods were a thing, or AirPods. Yeah. He had the little earpiece, and that man was talking deals, businesses, friends, talking to friends. Like, I mean, was there a time like he'd just be talking, you would think to the air, but he's always communicating.
It was funny because like every time he came in the building, it wasn't always like he went once he got in, but like if this man is walking into our facility in the morning, and I can hear him from a distance, like talking. I'm like, oh, here comes Gates. Like my man's on the phone laughing, like, like laughing, all this stuff. Like
you'd be like,
talking business. Yeah. And I was like, bro, he really was on the phone. Like one time he was on the phone in the shower or something. And I was like,
yep,
my man's getting stuff done.
And the funny thing too, for me, my rookie year was I got all of the plays in practice that were designed for Gates on a Wednesday because my man he was on the bike. He was on the bike. I mean, you couldn't blame him. He's year 17? The man's 38 years old, out here moving, thriving. Like he's playing high caliber football at that age. But yeah, come Wednesday, I'm definitely taking the workload, which was obviously, I took it as an honor.
Yeah, I think the cool thing too, like, one thing he called everybody home team. First off,
home team.
What a home team! And that was just like, I remember being like, that's cool, man. What a great guy.
He kept calling me Shocky.
Like, yeah, and he
I was on my 80. I have the long hair. He kept calling me Shocky.
He liked that Shocky. And then, but like on the field, what's something like you will always remember?
He can move.
Yeah,
dude. On a Friday. So Friday for us is, we said this last week, Speed Friday. Or Fast Friday, sorry. You're really trying to just work on technique. It's not physical, as in like you're not hitting, you don't have pads on, but you're trying to, it's like your last day of running, like getting that central nervous system like fine tune and trigger before that game Sunday. And I remember a couple of times watching film and just seeing him on a nod route or a seam. And that dude is just burning down the hashes, dude. Just rolling, beating dudes, getting separation. And that's impressive. Like, yeah. Not many people can do that as they age. They lose a step. And obviously, I never saw him in his prime, the first 5-6 years. We saw some film, but it's crazy. I'm sure he was a little bit faster then. But still, dude, at that age, you're 15, 16, whatever it was, 17, the guy was moving.
Yeah. I think the biggest, like you said, he was moving. But he also, like, his change of direction, his explosiveness, like in and out of cuts.
He was playing basketball.
He was playing basketball, man. He was doing crossovers on the field.
Talk red zone. This is take the floor. What have you learned from him in red zone?
Yeah, he's next level. He's only, I mean, I like to joke with him because he's a short guy. He's only 6'3". He always liked to say he's 6'5".
He was a biscuit. He would say, I'm a biscuit away from playing nose tackle.
For sure. He was. He liked to say he was 6'5", but he was not. But he was long, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With big hands. And he was, like I said, he was explosive, and he knew how to move, and he knew kind of like from basketball, he knew just like crossovers and setting dudes up, and like, you know, like head movements and little shakes, and like start and stopping. I think that was the coolest thing too, like starting and stopping, and like slowing down and then bursting and then slowing down, like getting a guy his hips open and turning, and then all of a sudden he's stopping on a dime. Because like, just, I mean, those guys are a little bit, you know, they're nervous too of like what you're doing.
Yeah,
so
you gotta threaten them. They're like, where are you going? Like, the one thing I learned is you don't have to run full speed in your route all the time.
Yeah.
Like, running going as hard as you can, balls to the walls, the whole route doesn't mean you're going to run a good route and get open. He tempoed it, and he knew when to, like you said, start, stop, stutter. He kind of just would mess with the defender.
There's also, it was always funny because like, there's also like, there's always those players that's like, hey, that's you know, like we would try something that Gates would do, and it'd be like, okay, hey, whoa, that's you know, let Gates do that.
Right. Oh, right. Because someone might try it, and it might not work. You got a low margin of error.
He's special, bro. He was in and out of cuts and stuff, and like, yeah, you can apply some stuff to your game, but my man like just did some crazy stuff that like sometimes you run a route like he would, maybe like 2 yards more shorter than it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
And we would do that, and we might be like, hey, you need to get your depth.
You need to get your depth on that route.
Now Gates does that. He gets a catch, and then you know, it's like, that's Gates. Okay, let Gates do him. There's those players,
and we're also missing a big component here is the connection with Phil Rivers.
Yes,
because the one thing I remember hearing a story about Gates talking about in game, and this would be cool for all the Chargers fans. Like, I remember him telling me, because like in the red zone, as you guys all know, you probably see most of his touchdowns. You're looking at corners, you're looking at corner nod, which is just corner post,
basically seam,
and pivots. And he was telling me how one time pre-snap he had a corner on, and Phil just looked at him, didn't say anything. We have signals for, hey, nod, corner. Didn't give him anything, just looked at him.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
Gates looked at him back and then changed the route, and they scored.
Yes.
Like, I couldn't imagine doing that in front of 60, 70,000 people just by your vision. But it was looking at each other. That's crazy.
It was always kind of funny because Phil, like me and Phil began to build that relationship in a way, but like early on, like obviously he was trying to like, you know, telecommunicate with me. And I was like, huh? Like, what? But like, then you start to get it, right? The more you're talking with anybody. But like, I remember the Phil look like in the red zone, and he like, you'd have like a corner on, and he would kind of give you like this, like,
and
like just a head nod, barely, like a little barrel. He used to do that when I was young, and I'd be like, thumbs up, like, cool, like. I thought that just meant like, I'm coming to you, but like his head nod was like him changing a route, and I was like, oh, okay. And then when like finally once you got it, it was kind of like, wow, that's that.
Once you get it, it's deadly. Because I mean, he's seeing something. Obviously, he's changing it for a reason.
That's the next level stuff, and that's where we're gonna pivot into like talking about Phil, what he means to us, and also like he's recent retired, and we just want to say congrats.
Congrats, 17,
man, 17.
Legend.
Philip Rivers, man, just an absolute legend, and absolute awesome guy and teammate, all around, everything. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about him. He's just an absolute professional, and the man,
competitor
for sure. And I know we have a lot of good stories on Phil, and everybody probably loves hearing Phil's stories. What's probably the first thing that stood out to you with like Phil, just as a guy? Let's say as a guy.
Yeah. First. I mean, well, first off, growing up, I kind of thought he was kind of a prick. Like, I thought he was like MFing all these people, cussing out people, like, you know, because you see him on, he's yelling, and he's, you know, yelling at talking to the defender, the refs, and you think the man doesn't cuss. That's the first thing. The guy has never said a cuss word ever. He just the biggest competitor I've ever met. But honestly, as a person, like, one thing that stood out to me was obviously, okay, coming in, I'm undrafted. I remember showing up. I think it was only like for rookies. Like, it wasn't rookie minicamp, but I think it was the week that rookies going just before everybody else. And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I think we were getting like, it was like the hot tub or like the sauna or something like that. And he was in the cold tub. And I just remember like having a conversation, and he's like, hey, I'm Phil. And I'm like, Yeah, I know who you are. Like, you don't have to introduce yourself to me. I mean, you look like you're a grown man over here. But he introduced himself to me, and he started asking me about my family, like where I'm from, just some like hobbies and interests. Like, tried to get to know me. And 9 times out of 10, a guy in my situation, he's in year 15. How many times is that guy here 3 months later? He's getting cut. And one thing that stood out to me was a month goes by. I haven't talked to him. I'm there on an off day. I'm there to long snap, just trying to find a way to make the team, right? And I'm doing some extra work. And I show up to the field and I see him running the whole route tree with all of his kids. I'm talking like they're running slants, pivots, posts, throwing a Nerf ball to his youngest all the way to a regular ball to his oldest. Oh, yeah. And he's going through the route tree, and I'm over here long snapping, and he came up to me, and it's been a month, mind you, since we last talked. And he was like, hey, yeah, I mean, Sean, where are you going for your break? You going back home to Florida? Like, the fact that he knew my name, knew where I was from, like, wanted to know, like, that just like stood out to me so much. Like, it meant like he really cared about me as a player and a teammate. And I just know that like he didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? So like that just goes to show just with the type of man he is.
Dude, he's obviously a legend. We'll talk about some stories on the football field too. Those are always good.
Oh yeah.
But like you said, I remember the first time I was a rookie too, and we were in the San Diego complex, and I remember just like walking through our bathroom or like whatever it was, like our little hallway, and all of a sudden like Phil like popped out like out of a door, and it just kind of all of a sudden he was there, right? And he was like, "What's up, stud?" And I was like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" Like, like hit it off, and I was just kind of like taken back, right? Like I just wasn't expecting to meet him there. I mean, he wasn't thinking anything of it, but he was just like him saying like, "What's up, stud?" Like I was just kind of like, "What's up, man?" Like he was just very welcoming. And then I remember like his wife got me like it was a small present. Like it was like a yoga mat. Yeah. And I was like, oh man,
got them tight hips. Hey, make sure you get Hunter some yoga mat for his off season.
Yeah, give me some yoga mats, boy. Make sure this guy's routes are on point. Man, I don't know. It was just a small like thing.
No, for sure.
It goes a long way though, especially like coming to California, you're by yourself all of a sudden. You're like,
you're young.
You're young.
Bro.
I was 20
at the time. You're 20.
I was 21.
You were 21. Like that's crazy though.
Yeah. So it was a lot, and then just like then I got to like as the years went on, like our relationship continued to grow, right? And we were similar in a lot of ways, even though he was like 15 years older than me, 16 years older than me. Like I still remember like some of those cool times too, like. We both go to the same place in Florida where our families grew up going, and he has a house there. I do not currently, but we go there just for vacation. And like, I remember we used to always talk about meeting up and like getting some routes in or whatever. And I just remember it was really cool always to like see him with his family. Like he'd bring his family out there, like you said,
big family,
and just spending that time like one-on-one with him and hanging out, working out, throwing. We'd get like 2 days in or something like that while we were down there on vacation. And it was always cool, man, just to see him as a man and a man of faith, a man of just like a family man, obviously a big family man. My man got some kids over there.
Yeah, was he at 9?
Yeah, they were at 9. 9. At 9, and I was like, "You done?"
I remember the last year I was with him. Like, what do you like? Remember we were sitting in the locker room. He's like, got the call, and he's like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, we were like,
got a boy. He's coming on. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we were like, you're getting another one? Like, so are you done after that? And he's like, hey, whatever happens. And I'm like, good for you, man. That's awesome.
And that was so crazy too, because coming from college, it's a different dynamic. You got like quarterbacks that are 18 to 21 years old that just have different priorities. They're definitely more so worried about the nightlife, the social scene. And this man has 9 kids. Like but it was cool. It was cool like to have that type of figure like as the quarterback, right? Like he was a man, like he was a man's man, right? Like he was like his leadership. I mean, it was just such an honor to play with him and learn from him too.
I think like what was then going now we're gonna go to like Phil. We have Phil as the man and like the freaking great guy, locker room guy, but like now we got Phil as the football player. And
right.
They're two different people.
Yes, that's a good point.
They're two different. Yes. They're two different
Very
people.
Different.
Which is kind of cool because he had a great balance, bro. He had a great balance. But him as a football player, It was different.
And he could connect with the younger guys. He really could.
No doubt.
One of the things that we, through camp and as, you make those long 5-hour East Coast flights the night before the game when you go 2 days early, like a big part of playing in the NFL is the games and just like finding a way to bond and pass time during camp and just grow closer. And we would play a ton of games that cards, all of it. And it was mostly younger players, year 2, year 3 type of guys. And he made sure to be at every single game, setting. And let me just say this, like his competitiveness from the game did not alter. Like he would have that same level for games. And like, why don't you kind of like walk through like a night, like on an East Coast trip, like the man wanted to win.
My man wanted to win everything. First off, I began planning to play in the card games, at least in the past year or two. But we would just play like we do riddles,
right? Oh yeah,
like riddles were a big thing. Building bridges. We could just go a deep dive with the riddles because that gets me through camp and those long days when you're sitting at lunch and you get to hang out with the guys, do riddles and just talk and chop shop. And it's that's always fun. And then we carry that over to the season and getting to like know each other and really get close. I mean, you're getting close in football, but it's always cool to like know somebody, like especially the guys you're competing with.
It's a big part.
It's a huge part. And Phil was great at that. Phil was great at bringing guys together, no matter what their age was. He was the oldest guy on the team, but he was hanging out with me at 22 years old. You know what I mean? And he's 30. He was 35 or 4 at the time, but it was always cool.
But the night wouldn't end until he won. Yeah. So like if we have curfew at say midnight or 1 o'clock because we lost 3 hours or gain, I guess it is just later, but we're not tired and. It would be coming 5 minutes till bed check and we're still playing because Phil hasn't won yet and we have to keep going. And he's telling like security, like, hey, John, I got these guys. These guys are with me. Like, it was like, we almost like felt obligated. It's like, I hated winning the last game and like getting Phil out because I knew that we had to play again.
Yeah. Well, it grew to like Phil just wanted someone to win at some point, right? Like in some of the games we'd play. So like that competitive side went there, and then it just always, of course, translated to Sunday when we would go out there with Phil, and he stepped across that line, bro. My man was locked in, and I think I always say with Phil, he as a player and as a captain and leader on our team, like he and the quarterback, he elevated everybody's game. He demanded so much out of you and made you want to be a better player and just go extra hard for him because of those times too, of like the times you spent just getting to know him as a guy in the locker room, hanging out, all that stuff. And then also like all the work he puts in. That man man's working in practice. Like he doesn't take days off, right? Like he is working, he's doing individual drills. He's, like grinding too. Like he's in there with it. Like, and I think the cool thing too with him, like always, like to go back to those times, he would always like to work out with the guys too. Right. Yeah. Loves coming into the weight room and working out with everybody and being amongst like the O linemen, the receivers, the tight ends, running backs. So like,
and he push you, be like, oh, that's all you got.
Yeah. He'd be like,
that's all you got. 225 for hand clean right now. Why don't you put on the 25 on there?
Yeah. Come on.
We're like, oh, okay, Phil, I'll do it.
For sure. He's a competitor, man, and we were just talking about this before the pod, and I think one of my favorite things with Phil on game day was obviously he was super competitive, but he loved his teammates. He loved like just being able to compete with everybody, and he would before the first drive when we go out, he's going down the line to every starter and everybody that's going to compete out there with him, and he's like kind of gives you a headbutt and gives you the Phil headbutt and like the let's go.
Yeah. Oh, I remember my first headbutt.
Yeah.
I got the start 1 week. Got the headbutt.
Yeah. It's like
it's a big deal.
It's well, I mean, golly, your adrenaline's already pumping, right? You got about 75,000 in the stands. All of a sudden, like, and you're nervous and everything, but like when you have a guy like 17 back there, man, you're going to be in control in a way, and obviously he was going to give you his all and his best every single time. Every time we went out there, he was going to lay it all out there because, I mean, my man played with torn ACL.
Right.
So I mean, he's been through it all, right?
I forgot. Yeah,
that man is a warrior. So it's special. He also he keeps you accountable because you know he would raise his voice a few times. Now, no swear words.
Yeah,
but you feel like crap a little bit.
So a quick story. I remember my rookie year. It was probably the first week after cut week, right? So I'm on the team and we're getting ready for Denver, and it was a set where me and Gates were in like a flood alignment, and he checked it and he looked at us and he was like, "Okie okie," but I thought he said "opie opie." So I thought, which are two different distinct things.
Yes,
and
this is foreign language,
right? But long story short, what they need to know is I ran the same route that Gates ran, and he threw the ball. We both ran quarter routes.
Yeah, so basically,
and I heard him go like, "Shoot!"
Like, Sean, what are
you doing? And I was just like, the worst thing, knowing when you mess up and you're just, jogging back to the huddle, and he's just looking at you, and it's you don't want to let him down.
No.
Which brought the best out of you, because you wanted to avoid as many as possible, many moments as possible.
Well, he was a coach on the field, bro. I got more accountability and some yelling from Phil more in my 4 years with him than I did a coach. So that's what was so special about him. He was the second. He was the second head coach or offense coordinator on the field. And it was special. That man ran the show. So, man, we got nothing bad to say about Phil. We got some fun times and some funny things and quirky and all that stuff.
No doubt.
I mean, that dude's a clown, but he's a good dude, man. And we are super appreciative of him and super appreciative. Like, I mean, our careers might have been different. You know what I mean? Like, if we didn't show up with Phil and the Chargers and all that and like what he meant to us. So big congrats to Phil. Obviously we're convinced he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, and that man's in the Hall of Fame. And he deserves that. I mean, he didn't win a ring, and I hate that, but my man he broke all the records. He broke all Dan Fouts records. Right. And Dan Fouts is in the Hall of Fame, who's a beast. Right. But Phil broke all his records. And so it'll be fun to see and like watch that, like Gates and Phil being at Canton, knowing
oh my gosh, it's gonna be sweet.
Once we start seeing that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? It'll be fun. So
I think once you get like 5 people to invite, like I can't wait till he calls me and like tells me like I'm one of the 5.
Yeah, Phil. Like, hey.
I want you to come.
Sean? Hey, Sean. Hey, remember me, Sean? I'm getting inducted into Canton, actually. You want to come? You're like, let me check my schedule.
Yeah. Don't know if I can do it. I don't think I can swing it. I could
fit it in. That. But congrats to Phil. But man, it's been fun today. Sorry for the interruption of my call. Who knows what's going to happen?
We will possibly update on the second
we'll
episode
keep an update.
Or next week. I'm sure.
Yeah. Next week's episode, we might have a little bit more information for you guys. I might be able to spill the beans a little bit more for you. It's been fun, man.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
We appreciate you guys joining.
We're always excited to flow, hang out, let the hair down, and kind of give you an insight into our lives. I think next week we're kind of looking forward to maybe giving a little background on our injuries. What we've been through, and just kind of talking more on that, because that's a big part of our journey.
And with that, the mentality. Yeah. And we'll have a special guest to come join us, and we might
who knows where it's going to go, bro. We're just going with the flow always. And you always should go with the flow. Let things roll off a little bit easier, and we're excited to be with you guys. Subscribe, like.
We're on the podcast app now.
Yeah,
which is good. It took us a little bit, apparently.
We are on everything.
We're on everything.
YouTube, you can watch this video.
uSTADIUM on their website.
Big shout out to uSTADIUM for putting this on. And go check them out, and just subscribe, listen to our pod. There's gonna be more to come. We're excited, and always excited to have you guys on and hang out.
We'll see you next week.